This is Coach Vihara from Celestial Rhythms. Well, what will the year 2018 bring? It was kickstarted, or will be kickstarted, by the January 2nd Cancer super full moon. And it might feel as if we were pushed into the deep end of the pool. And I will tell you why. It will start with a big bang. Well, this full moon brings the epic new moon of December 19 to its utmost flowering, to its full expression. Remember, the December 19 new moon occurred in closest proximity of the galactic center. And just reminding, 9 new moons in a row are forming aspects with the galactic center. This series started with the total solar eclipse and goes all the way into April 2018. So this is the full moon following that powerful new moon of December 19, which occurred just a couple days prior to Saturn's big drum roll, its Capricorn ingress, which is heralding huge changes. Saturn in Capricorn initiates the basic crackdown on all forces standing in the way of truth. Know that Saturn will pull up to Pluto by January 2020 in a rare and exquisite conjunction of Sun, Ceres, Saturn, Pluto, and Mercury, all of them within less than 2 degrees of arc, assembled in hexagram 61 inner truth. Furthermore, Saturn's Capricorn ingress occurred while the moon was within less than 1 degree of Pluto. This speaks of these two planets' immediate bond, that their energies are now synced, that they're joining forces, that they're working together. The energy of Pluto and Saturn's January 2020 conjunction already can be felt all over. It's the crackdown on dark forces, which has begun. The victory of truth is already a fact. It's now just a matter of allowing to be pulled by the future. I like to share one more observation on December 22nd. Saturn had entered Capricorn when Jupiter reached within 45 degrees of Saturn. On that day, the Jupiter-Saturn cycle, which is on its way since May 2000, entered its 8th and final phase. We're now on the home stretch, within the last big chapter of this present 20-year cycle. The coming 3 years will form the bridge before tapping into something altogether different, blasting open a vision so different we barely may be able to imagine. When within hours of the 2020 winter solstice, Jupiter and Saturn will come to meet in the 1st degree of Aquarius. Another central detail which might help grasp the importance of this first full moon of January 2nd, 2018 is that it's a super full moon. This means it will be the largest full moon of all 2018. Only few hours prior to La Luna's fullness, she sweeps by closest planet Earth. Giving an idea of what that means on physical impact levels, well, people close to oceans will know. Super full moons most likely will produce string tides, and if not springtide, then at least some extreme tidal differences. In other words, the moon's energy is at 100 plus. It's as strong as it can get. A saving grace may be that upon fullness the moon already is on its way out, leaving the place of closest proximity to Earth. It's well possible that this full moon might leave us with a feeling of having to recover from some sort of Big Bang. And as we're on our way out from the most critical zone, most likely from that point forward, things may tend to improve and gradually get better. It might be noteworthy. Individual digits of 2018 add up to an 11. The 11 is a master number, indicative of challenges to be faced, and then to integrate these changes. The 1 in the 11 represents the new that has to be assimilated and absorbed into that which is already existing, which is represented by the 10. As one can expect, such process is going to be accompanied by some dissonance. In order to solve conundrums, there's the requirement of adjustments on many levels. If we have a closer look at the January 2nd full moon chart, we can see a powerful maze of planets which all are around the 11-degree mark. Again, emphasizing this master number's presence. When the moon will be perfectly full, it is at 11 degrees 38 in Cancer, opposing the Sun in the same degree in Capricorn. At the end of this podcast, I will expand a bit on this 11-degree maze, which includes some Centaur planets and other lately discovered trans-Neptunian objects and Kuiper Belt objects, which adds some amazing additional insights into what this super full moon might have in store for us. I assume that Julian Assange will play a major role in what's about to develop. I think that's where we can expect some major information coming from, and so I would like to ask you if you might be aware of what Julian Assange has in store. What might his next big move really be? Well, there have been some leaks on that, and I guess we can expect something of a huge data dump of unprecedented magnitude, revealing the definite proof of high-ranking people abusing children. Most likely, video footage will be provided, which will be self-evident and absolutely damning beyond any doubt. Now, I don't think WikiLeaks would go that route unless absolutely necessary and unavoidable. It will be such a powerful punch into our stomachs. To everyone. Yes, period. Potentially, one might argue, lightening the load, WikiLeaks could choose to expose one person at a time. However, such undertaking would make the whole process much more dangerous. Potential leakers might get killed attempting to prevent further damage. Naturally, as one easily can understand, a beast is the most dangerous when mortally wounded. Therefore, it's not too hard to wrap our minds around the fact that all of this info has to be outed all at once. The only way to checkmate the cabal lies in a surprise move. The collective shadow has to be exposed all at once. I'd like to remind you, it's only 4 months plus since the August 21st total Great American solar eclipse. What's been seeded then, now it's coming to fruition. And guess what? This coming full moon is Saros Series 145th anniversary. That's the series the August 21st event belongs to. On January 4th, 1639, the first eclipse of this Saros series 145 occurred when the moon and the sun met at 13 degrees 47 Capricorn. 379 years it's since this tree was planted. Like every Saros family, every few years this series is bearing fruit in form of lunar or solar eclipses. And this particular series, which is active right now between August 2017 and roughly August 2018, will produce an overall 147 eclipses for the spread out over the 15 centuries. This evolutionary momentum is active, which will be all the way into 3094. So with this coming full moon, the sun will be within 2 degrees where sun and moon have been at the birth of this Saros series 145. In other words, we just come to meet last August's powerful solar eclipse daddy. I like to tell you that this Saros series proves being very strongly linked not only to American but to world history at large. Earlier members of this powerful series have been the total solar eclipses of 1927, 1945, 1963, 1981 and 1999. Of all of these, the 1963 event certainly has hit America and the whole world the hardest, as its energy was setting the stage for JFK's assassination on the enigmatic 11th month's day, the 22nd. And those of you who have done their homework know these are Illuminati numbers, so they gave us the business card right away. Those who could read signs knew. So now I will share you a little bit more about series 145's Paths of Totality, and you will see on the picture beside all the paths of that eclipse families between 1927 and 2179. And you will see, if you look, that the 2017 path outdoes all others in terms of touching the United States. It's the only one occultation which shows the moon's shadow cutting right through America's heart, from west coast to east coast. And not only that, aside from dimming the light over the entire United States, this eclipse event engulfed most of the North American and Mesoamerican continents. I guess you get the idea. All this evidence indicates that this coming full moon is going to be extremely important. It will be a very big event, and this in all ways possible. However, I'd like to say January 2nd most likely will be just a starting point. Don't expect everything to happen all at once. It will be much like a domino, which is a process. Once the first piece topples, it will take a while for the entire building to come down. In order to be able to understand the full scope of what we're looking at here, I'd like to enlighten you about the root of the present evolutionary ray, which is the birth chart of Saros series 145. So you get a glimpse of the intention and the direction where all of this is moving towards. Saros series 145's root chart, January 4, 1639. The sun and moon are opposing the American people's sun in the independence chart, and this within less than 1 degree. And I'd like to mention the independence chart of 1776 is widely understood to be the birth moment of the American nation, of that great idea of a society based on freedom and sovereignty, which later on has been hijacked, as we all know. Now, I want to intercept a little thing here. The one most often forgotten planet in astrology charts is Earth. Yes, you might be surprised. Obviously, and the sun appears in Cancer, as is with the American nation, then when we are looking from the sun's perspective, Earth appears on the other side of the zodiac in Capricorn. That means the American nation's Earth sign is Capricorn. We are always at the other end of the sun. So just on a side note, if you're at all interested in astrology, you should consider the sign opposing your sun sign. That's where planet Earth was when you were born. And it's pretty obvious if you think. That's where we're meant to anchor and express our solar qualities. For the American nation, this means bringing their abounding and rich Cancer qualities down into the real world and give them expression through the sign of Capricorn, meaning being ready to deal with naked and unadorned reality, showing responsibility and not shying away from difficult and demanding tasks. Saros series 145 activates the American people's Earth. That's where sun and moon were at the ignition of this 1500-year Saros series. So this eclipse series challenges and helps the American nation to bring their watery and all too often over-emotional and profoundly subjective, take on everything down to a place of close scrutiny, challenging them to embrace a reality that is quite different than what they try to indulge in. This series definitely helps us to strip illusions away, to tear down the masks. (1945), Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then 1963, JFK, and they sure do stick out as sore thumbs, these 2 years. These were certainly grave wake-up calls. And luckily, since, things have dramatically improved. And we have done some substantial homework since, and chances are that this time round we've accumulated enough insights, and the odds are that this time we will succeed reverting the game. Particularly people like you who are listening to this have learned to think for themselves and know whom to listen to, and know very well that we are far enough into the pie for fundamental breakthroughs to materialize. It actually was back in 2016 when it became fully clear that the tide had turned. Brexit, Trump's win certainly were big signs. And that's when it became clear that victory wasn't too far away anymore, that it was only a matter of a short few years until humanity finally would be set free of thousands and thousands of years of slavery. Well, what's so special about the Saros Series 145 root energy are the lunar nodes, particularly the lunar north node, which shows where we as a humanity are heading towards. Now again, as I said, this series has been woken up from sleep all through 2018, and the 1639 January 4th chart has the Moon's rising node at 27 degrees 55 Sagittarius. That's where the galactic center is. And Venus is close by at 245 Capricorn, and that's where the solar apex is. Solar apex is the direction our sun, with all its planets, is moving towards. So the core theme of this presently active series, therefore, is to catapult us out of our small world, out of this narrow reality, out towards the heart of the galaxy. After all, the lunar nodes are the evolutionary vector. They're showing the direction from where we're coming, which would be Gemini in this sense, but even more so where we're heading to, which is the galactic center. And yes, this series of eclipses directs us towards the galactic center, towards the hub of the Milky Way, which represents all that's out there. The galactic center offers a gateway. It teases us to break through veils. It invites us to embrace the many star nations, and at the same time to wake up to Earth's vast history. And then Venus in the 1639 chart in early Capricorn at the solar apex, and auspiciously showing off as a morning star, Venus is pointing the direction our solar system is heading to. And again, you could call it synchronicity. Right now, since December 25 into January 18, Venus again is in Capricorn. And yes, how very special. On January 2nd, Venus is closely conjunct the black moon. That's the spot where the moon is farthest from Earth, and where all the darkest emotions are gathering, be it fear, rage, sadness, or abuse. So this Venus black moon meeting may be yet another big clue that something big is in the tube regarding revelations, regarding child abuse and Satanism. Additionally, the January full moon has Venus and the black moon exactly at the Saturn-Pluto midpoint, which I mentioned earlier are the two planets working together to crack down all the dark forces. So if we look at all this together, one gets a clear impression that what's about to unfold will be probably the deadly blow, the revelation of terrible evil. Whatever will be released to the public will pull the lid, delivering deeply shocking and utterly disturbing proof that our world's power structure is based on pedophilia and ritual murder. Saying that this will come as an enormous shock for the majority of people is probably an understatement. Only a very small fraction of humanity has a more or less clear idea of what's looming, and even those, me included, will be deeply shocked as the full scope of what will be revealed. To say, it will be far worse than anyone can imagine. Now, the sun between December 30th and January 4th is in hexagram 38 opposition. Within the bounds of this oracle, also in 1639, that's where the first eclipse of Saros series 145 took place, which was initiating the driving energy, which once again now has come to the surface with the August 21st event. Now, the hexagram 38 opposition means polarization. Contrasts cannot be overlooked any longer. Deplorable states of affairs are right there in our face. There's no way of burying one's head in the sand. What comes to light demands to be looked at and screams for correction, for real solutions. What we're up to in these coming 3 years into 2020 will be the American nation's greatest challenge. But that's just where things first come to light. Soon we will find this evil has breached out to Earth's farthest corners. We're in this all together. On multiple levels, astrology reflects very clearly that 2018 is the year of purge, to consciously face the collective shadows. It's high time to stand in unity. Everyone has to understand how much there's at stake and come to realize why there's such a concerted effort by the controlled media to divert and thus weaken us from inside out. We have to recognize the countless trolls which are on this rotten system's payroll. It's high time to wake up and see how we are being manipulated. We have to start seeing through this petty and dirty war which so many people have been tricked participating in. Well, on that note, you might not personally like President Trump, but that's totally beside the point. This man's flaws become truly irrelevant once you begin to see the full picture. Fact is, and really that should be the only point that counts, Trump is not one of them. Newt Gingrich gave it away in March 2016, clearly saying Trump has not been through the initiation rites. I post the link to this video clip underneath. So wake up, folks. Trump's enemy is your enemy. It's time to once and for all realize what genuinely matters. We have to understand that Trump is on the people's side. Yes, we all agree. He also has terrible flaws. And there's no doubt he has to make certain concessions. But really, can you read the signs on the wall? Well, right on December 21st, the inherent beginning of 2018, that's the day when Trump signed the executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. And just a couple days ago, he doubled down by declaring January 2018 as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. When your enemy is my enemy, then we have to work together. Even if I personally, for whatever reason, don't like you, or you happen not to like me. Yes, that's where the American nation is at right now. It's absolutely high time for all the Trump haters out there to realize that this man, despite of what you may think of him, he may be the one who really is committed to drain the swamp. Trump may be stinking rich and he may not have paid taxes, like all corporations and rich individuals do. But that's not what matters right now. Fact is, and if you cannot see this as yet, then very soon you will. Fact is, Trump is honestly and wholeheartedly dedicated to transition us into a better world, committed to expose and eradicate the utmost ugliest expressions evil has on our planet. So I like to end this podcast series with some additional information on the centaur planets and other lately discovered celestial bodies that are closely tied in to this 11-degree maze I was talking about earlier, which this enigmatic super full moon is embedded in, and brings some facets to light which might give even more distinct clues of what's about to unfold. Well, merely 2 minutes of arc past its fullness, the moon will meet 1999 TD10, which is a trans-Neptunian object, or a TNO, that is orbiting the Sun once every 924 years. Various researchers have concluded that TD10 has to do with corruption, political intrigue, and organized crime. TD10 most intimately is tied in with both Sun and Moon, therefore adding a strong nuance to the mix. However, there are a few more lately discovered objects infusing their energy into this set as well, likely playing substantial roles. (2002) MS4 is at 10 degrees 28 Capricorn, just a bit more than a degree away from the Sun and Moon. MS4 is an unnamed large Kuiper belt object measuring close to 1,000 kilometers in diameter, orbiting the Sun once every 271 years. Astrologer-researcher Jonathan Dunn found MS4 to show off in clean and neat appearance, being irreverent while appearing obedient, poking, attacking the system from within. MS4 seems to embody qualities a spy must have, able to hide true intentions, acting with a poker face, secretive and subversive. Then there is 2002 discovered Amicus at 11 degrees 20 Capricorn, only 18 minutes of arc from the full moon's axis. Amicus is classified as Centaur planet. It orbits the Sun once every 126 years. According to astrologer researcher B. Adama, Amicus may stimulate an insatiable urge for power with a tendency to manipulate. It also may indicate little respect for integrity. It's in for pure power games in their darkest and ugliest expression, and it's linked to lust with a definite sexual undertone. On the other hand, astrologer researcher John Delaney emphasizes that Amicus has also some more refined expressions, indicating high-level treaties, ingenuity through adversity, showdowns, ordeals to avoid them. Its energy may be refined, highly selective, and elitist. Neptune, again, is tied into the full moon structure, that 11 degree maze, and Neptune is at 11 degrees 56 Pisces, is 60 degrees ahead of the Sun, and is trining the Moon. And Neptune is adding its common mystery to the whole energy and its puzzling camouflage. Neptune remains a central player for the full 15 years, since 2011 and all into 2025. Through all these years, this outermost of the giant planets is in its own domain, in the sign of Pisces. Neptune quietly rules from behind the scenes, in kind of a remote fashion. When it comes to psychic powers, alternate realities, and interacting with higher dimensions, then Neptune is the one to look for. Also, Neptune rules advanced forms of exchange, providing access to intuition, clairvoyance, and mediumship, skills which potentially anybody can learn if one dares exploring one's innermost world. Well, the final body I would like to talk about today, and which adds its traits into the maze of this 11 degree web, is Algira, Altjira, which was discovered in 2001 and which is presently at 11 degrees 14 Gemini, squaring Neptune. Algira has been named after the god of dreamtime of the Arentre tribe of Australia. Algira has an orbital period of 291 years and is a binary Kuiper belt object consisting of two roughly 150 kilometer sized objects. Astrologer researcher Linda Berry states that Algira may have to do with envisioning the power of awareness, the ability to stimulate others so they may get involved. Algira knows the potentials of conscious intention and concentrated focus while juggling with subtle energies. Well, it may be of interest that between April 2014 and December 2017, Neptune and Algira have formed 8 exact square aspects. This may explain why, through the past few years, we've seen such an amazing expansion in overall consciousness on our planet. Furthermore, Algira's resonance with Neptune may reflect the overall growing thirst for real spirituality, which is prompting people to leave dogmatic teachings behind. This again may have opened the gates for more direct help from higher planes, as we have become more ready, more open for the return of what we could call the creator gods. And especially I'm thinking of the blue avians, which Corey Good is getting messages from. Algira also said that according to Aboriginal myths, at some point retired into the sky and stopped caring for humanity any longer. So it seems Algira is related to this higher level of beings who have helped us. And I'm at the end of my podcast here. Thank you for listening and tuning in, and have a wonderful 2018 and victory to the truth. Thank you.